Hello, everybody. I am so glad that you're here. Today, we are talking about the messy steps of progress. Progress, we get excited about progress, but then we think that if it isn't just neat and tidy, then it's a mess, and it's going to be a mess. So I'm going to talk to you about the messy parts of it and where to focus during that. So I'll teach for about 15 minutes and then open for coaching. So if you have questions, type those in the Q&A, or if you want to come on for live coaching, use the raise hand. So the messy path of progress. We start with an idea, something that we want to be different in our lives, or something that we want to learn or acquire. So maybe we have a relationship that is painful that we want to change, or maybe we have a habit that we want to stop, like procrastination. Maybe we want to increase our income to the next level, or maybe we want to learn a new language. So we're either something is painful that we want to change, or we want to go towards something specific. Either way, we have this idea, change. And often the path for this change, the dominant emotion is impatience. We want to be there already. We have this idea, and then all of a sudden we have this feeling of what we think will feel like when we get there, what it'll be like. And we just want to be there. We just want to be done. We want to zip off the old suit and zip on the new way of being. We want to turn the corner, and there we are. And if we aren't feeling bewildered about how we can even fathom how to do it, then we want it to have happened already. So we set out on this journey with the intent, with the end in mind. And when it starts to get a little messy, we start to question ourselves. Was our idea wrong? Should we even be doing this anyway? Was it ever really going to happen? We just question. So what I want to do, the reason this is important, is I want to give you a focus. When that questioning starts, I want to give your mind something to focus on so that you can really make the best of your progress. You can take your idea into a whole new thing, even when it's messy, even when it feels like you're not making progress. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set out the steps that happen in progress, so that even when you're uncomfortable, you're going to know you're right on time. So looking at the steps, it starts with an idea, that dissatisfaction or inspiration. The idea is born, but there's no action yet. You just have the thought of this new thing, and you have a feeling you imagine you will have when you get there. The focus in this stage, step one, is just to let your mind be unfettered. There are no limits. Consider what you really want. If you had all the time in the world and all the money to make it happen, what do you really want? What is your best case scenario? Let your mind just go crazy. So while you're contemplating the change, go to as wild a place as you can go. Don't hold back. Step two is you're considering the action. You start to form these ideas of tangible steps you can take. You're still not taking them yet, though. It's starting to get more real. When it gets more real, your mind is going to tell you, don't do it. Your mind wants to keep you safe. Right now, your mind is telling you you're safe right now. What you're doing now is working. You're not dead. You're not dying. You are going forward with life in survival mode. Just keep doing it. You're good. So your mind in this stage will start telling you, oh, it's getting a little bit real. Let me not let it be real. A lot of people in this stage will say, oh, I shouldn't do it. They'll start to believe their mind when it says, don't do it. And what the focus I want to give you is see that part of your mind. It's the part of your mind that wants to keep you safe by not allowing new action. I see you, and this is when you start to assume it's a safe activity. What skills will you need to develop to make this happen? So I want you to start asking yourself the question, okay, I see that it might feel dangerous. I'm definitely going to feel fear. What do I need to learn to keep me safe? What do I need to learn to make this happen? You start with those questions, you start asking yourself, who do I need to become to make this goal a reality? And understand, I'm not saying you need to change who you are. You are always you. You're always going to think that you still think the same jokes are funny. You're still you, but you're you with a new skill. You're just working on creating a different result in your life. So step 3 is you're deciding to not take action. So your brain is going to come up with every reason not to do it, that you shouldn't do it, that you can't do it. You're not going to do this thing. When this happens, let it happen. Let all the obstacles come up, write them all down, invite more of them, get all of them out. This obstacle list will become your to-do list. It's going to be your to-do list of, I got to figure out these things in order to make this happen. And so what I want you to know is everything that you do has obstacles, all of it. Everything does. It's great. If it didn't have obstacles, you'd already have the results that you're imagining. It's okay that there are obstacles. They're not a reason not to do things. If every obstacle was a reason not to do it, then, it would be like saying, I'm not going to go across town because there's going to be a red light. A red light is not a reason not to go somewhere. It's just something that happens along the way. So say one of your obstacles, your brain comes up with, you don't have time for this. Okay. I don't have time for this. I got to figure out when in the day that I will work on this thing. What am I doing now that I care about less than this new thing? Maybe I give that up for now. Maybe I just do less of it for now. But while I'm working on this new thing, I'm going to put that I care about less. I'm going to do less of it so that I have space for this new thing. Doesn't mean it's forever. You're just trying it out. So now step 4, you decide on the first step. Just the first step, not all of the steps. You're going to create an action plan with your obstacles. Create an action plan with the strategies to those. Strategies are just ideas for solutions. They may not be the solution. They may not be the final solution. They're just maybe solutions. They're just you coming up with ideas of what might work. You're also going to plan for some of them not to. You're going to plan for failure. And the reason we plan for failure, people fight me on this all the time. I'm not going to this terrible place because then law of attraction will take me there. No, that's not it. When you're focusing on, I'm learning a new thing and I know some of my ideas will work and some of my ideas won't work, it's what you make it mean when they don't work. If I make it mean that I'm failing, if I make it mean I'm not good enough, then, well, that's terrible, right? I don't want that. But if I make it mean, oh, I tried an idea and it didn't work, then that's just information. Now I know what doesn't work. One thing that doesn't work. I'm willing, the focus in this, while you're creating this action plan, these strategies, you're just creating a hypothesis. You want to say in your mind, I'm willing to try this. I'm willing to find out about this. It's just something to try. So now we're at step 5. You take off. You're actually in action. It's taken us 5 steps just to get to action, which is great. There's nothing that's gone wrong here. So you take those first steps. Emotions like motivation and fear are going to be really high, both of them. That's great. It's totally normal. Your focus in this step is that everything is a data point. Everything is information. Everything is a learning tool. Something goes well, okay, noted. That goes well. Something doesn't go well, okay, noted. This is something I'm going to have to figure out a little bit deeper. All of that is great. Nothing has gone wrong. So when you're looking at these data points, I want you to, as you're gathering this information, you're gathering information in action. This isn't research where you're figuring, where you're contemplating. That's already been done. That was in the strategies and hypothesis section. Now we're looking at action and how do I feel? How did it work? When you look at how you feel, you can start to uncover parts of the reasons why things aren't working. If you ask yourself, why isn't this working? Then you can dive into deeper. How am I feeling? I'm feeling scared. Okay, I'm going to feel scared all the time. That's fine. But if I'm feeling like, I'm scared because of this specific reason, that's going to give you more information. Step 6. This is a fun one. Oh, sorry. Step 5. I want to tell you one more thing. While you're collecting data, the data you are not going to collect is other people's opinions of what you're doing, other people's reactions to what you're doing. Now, this seems crazy that I'm telling you this, but the people in your life that you expect to be the most supportive, crazy phenomenon, often they're not, because they aren't invested in you changing. They're invested in the you of now. They are grounded to the person you are now. That's where they feel like they understand, maybe. Some relationships we don't understand each other, and that's fine. Different topic. But they know what they're getting with you now. When you go changing, they don't know what they're getting. That can be ungrounding. So, as bizarre as it sounds, they're not invested in your future idea of you. They're invested in you now. So just whatever they're thinking about this process that you're doing is none of your business right now. Just keep going. It's fine. They're either going to like the change or they're not. None of your business. Just keep going. It's not where you're focusing. It's not that you don't care. It's just not where we're focusing on right here. Okay, so step 6, you're going to fail. It's perfect. Right on time. Something you try is not going to work. I want to tell you, if you're not failing, then you're not trying things. We fail in advance. I learned this concept and it has totally changed my life. When you're too afraid to try something, so you do nothing, you're just feeling the pain of not doing, not getting the success in advance. You're just feeling it now. You still don't feel successful when you don't try something. You just feel scared. When you try something, you get to see, oh, that felt scary, that didn't. And then you get to have more information. So when you're failing, here's what you're going to focus on. You're going to ask yourself 3 questions. What went well? Even if it didn't work, there's something that went well. Number 1, you tried it, so that went well. The second question you're going to ask yourself is what didn't go well? What are the specifics of why it didn't go well? And number 3 is what will you do differently? This concept is amazing for me because it gives you reality, right? Sometimes we fail and we're like, oh, it's just all wrong. but we don't dig into the details. The details is where we improve, are where we improve. So step 7, fail again, keep going. You're still learning. You're still winning. You're going to still ask yourself those 3 questions. What went well? What didn't go well? What will you do differently? Step number 8, things will start to get easier. You'll start to have more wins than fails. Noticeable change will be observed. Your focus now, still those 3 questions. What's going well? What's not going well? What can I do differently? Step number 9, things are getting, you're in that zone where you're mastering the skill. You're mastering this first step, the skill of this first step. It doesn't mean the whole thing is done. It means this step of the thing is coming to completion. You're ready for the next step. So step 9 is you notice that and you go back to the beginning and do step 2. Now you take the next step and you go back. So starting at step 4, you're going to go through all those again. And you're going to continue to learn the new things. So just to recap, in all of these steps that you're taking, you're going to be impatient for the result, the finished product, the done of it. You're going to want that more than you're going to want the fails, for sure, but more than you're going to want to be step 1ing and strategizing and obstacling. You want the results. So you be impatient. It's fine. Go through the steps. The process of it, this is where they say it's the journey that matters. It is the journey that matters. That is life. You are always figuring something out. When you get to this result of this idea that you have, you're going to go for another one. You're going to be in the path again. So if you are intentional in the path, then you get better at pathing. You get better in the skill of learning new skills. This is it. This is life. This is the beauty of life, is saying, I want that. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to build the skills I need to get it. So be impatient. Great. Whatever. It means it means something to you. If you're impatient for the result, amazing. You care. Don't let that get in your way, though, of doing the process. Number 2, use the information that your brain gives you to keep you safe, to tell you not to do it. Use that information to help you do it. Don't let that stop you. Oh, you shouldn't do it. It's going to be hard. Okay, it's going to be hard. How do I overcome things being hard? Maybe I take a deep breath. Maybe I ask people who've done it before. Maybe you resource yourself. These obstacles, these reasons your brain tell you that you shouldn't do it, are exactly what you are going to work through when you do it. Number 3 is decide in advance what you're going to make failure mean. Decide not to beat yourself up about it. Don't let abusive talk come into your zone. It's going to come in. Negative self-talk does come up. Absolutely. And that's okay. You just decide to shut it down. I hear you. I don't believe you. I'm going to keep moving. And then you go back into, I'm learning. Here's what I'm learning. Continuously ask yourself, what is the skill I'm learning right now? And thank goodness for this lesson. Here I go. So that is what I have for you today. What questions do you have? Who wants to come on for live coaching? Somebody says, how do I actually shut down the negative self-talk? Such a good question, because if you're anything like me, it has really been a part of my life. And so I'm finding that every new thing that I do, I'm coming back to this. How do I talk to myself about it? How do I actually do it? So think about when you're in a conversation with like a chronically negative person, kind of a downer. We all have these people in our lives, bless them. They give us an opportunity to practice skills. But how do you actually do it? Maybe maybe you let them speak, and you just let them speak, and you hear it, but you don't react to it. Maybe you change the subject. Maybe you what you don't try to do is change their mind. A lot of times with negativity, people are invested in it. They're invested in it for a lot of reasons that aren't your business necessarily, unless it is. Sometimes it is. But you're not trying to negate them, right? So you don't have to say to your brain, you're wrong, and then you engage with a fight about it, right? You're not resisting it like that. What you can do is you can sort of change the subject. Okay, time is a problem for me. Okay, I'm going to focus on the solution of how do I find more time, as we talked about before. But I'm going to ask questions. So when you're sort of changing the subject, you ask questions along that change line. And always you're offering a kind and different perspective. So you're talking to yourself. I mean, let's not forget this. We're putting it in the scenario of talking to a negative person. But when you're finding the negative self-talk in yourself, you're seeing it, you're acknowledging them. Because if you don't acknowledge, then it gets louder, right? I mean, that will happen too. But you're not going to focus on the negativity. You're going to decide to change the subject a little bit. Okay, somebody else says, how do I know what I'm supposed to learn? I'm taking that to mean when you're asking yourself, what is the skill that you're learning? How am I supposed to know what are the skills that I'm learning? It's a great question. Ask yourself how you're feeling. So when you're in something and you're like, oh, what am I supposed to learn in this? How are you feeling? And the reason that's important, how you're feeling will help you understand what you're focusing on. So if you ask yourself 5 times, how am I feeling? Okay, why am I feeling that way? Okay, why am I feeling that way? And why am I feeling that? Keep digging down, keep asking yourself, why am I feeling that way? And you're going to get to the root, and you'll know you're there because you will feel it, but you'll get to the root of what you're really thinking that's getting in your way. So just like when your brain is offering you those obstacles and telling you not to do it, you're going to be like, thanks for that obstacle. Thanks for that to-do list. Then when you find that, why am I feeling this way? Why am I feeling this way? Why am I feeling this way? You're going to get to that root. That's what you need to learn. For me, feeling good when I go to bed at night turns out was me prioritizing what was really important to me in the day. How did I learn how to prioritize? Well, I learned how to start to notice what I need to do, because I will tell you, I've got all the things I need to do. My brain will come up with 100 things I need to do. But what's really important to me today is probably less than 5 things. So when you get down to that root, then you get to the real obstacle you need to overcome, the real thing you need to learn, and you can look for patterns of that thing and what you're doing, and that'll help you figure out where you're sort of going sideways. And then you just adjust one thing at a time, right? And see how that works. Also, that's a great opportunity to find a mentor, someone who's already done the thing that you're trying to accomplish, and you can see what they learned along the way. It can be really helpful. And just asking questions, asking for help. So that's what I have for you today. the steps of progress aren't the finished product. It's the biggest thing that I can tell you is a lot of times we don't think we're doing it until we get there, but everything that's happening along the way of getting there, even when you're not taking steps yet, you can create, you can hone in your focus to really get some amazing benefit out of all those messy steps that feel terrible. So I hope that you'll find a little bit of joy in those messy steps, because even though you're feeling stinky about it, this isn't a silver lining. It's just allowing you to get a little bit more knowledge. You get more data. You get to learn a little bit more about yourself. You get to build that relationship with yourself as you go along. If you see these things in your life where maybe it's you're hesitating because you're afraid, or maybe it's you're stopping because you don't see how you can overcome the obstacles. Maybe it's the negative self-talk. Maybe it's not being comfortable with failing, any of those. If you want to understand how to get deeper to the results, come do a consult with me. Come figure out, let's do it together. Let's find the steps for you to take to get to those results that you're looking for. So you can find, you can schedule a consult. You'll find my calendar link in the YouTube profile, and I would love to meet with you. Thank you for being here today, and I will see you next week.